Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk, Listen, and Share. My name is Shay Moraga. I'm the founder and the host tonight of one of the hosts tonight of this group. Oh, it's been a while. Anyways, Shay's Warriors is a 501c3 nonprofit with an all-volunteer board of directors. Our mission is to inspire, inform, and empower survivors, their families, and friends through health, fitness, and the mind body connection, with healing resources, tools, and solutions through a local and national network of support. Talk, Listen, Share is a way for survivors and thrivers to have real conversations around topics that help educate others on emotional, physical, and social realities that have become a part of a survivor's day-to-day life after the treatment is over and the new normal begins. Again, hosted by myself, one of my hosts, Shay Moraga. I'm a master yogi instructor and a certified cancer coach. We also have tonight Dr. Sonia Fung, founder and naturopathic doctor of the Live Well Clinic in La Quinta, California, Marissa Rivera, one of the co-founders of Skin Lab on El Paseo. And special guests tonight, we have Rosemary Flannery, our wonderful, amazing special guest host. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Sonia Fung. I think she's here. Give me 1 second. Everybody.
Hello. Yay. So I have the honor and privilege to introduce our guest speaker tonight, Rose Morro. And here is a little bit about her. So Rose Morro is the owner of Bliss Energy Healing, and she started working with energy healing systems in 2010. And she became certified in the emotion code in 2013 and the body code in 2014. And then another certification of the T3 belief code in 2016. And Rose is going to tell us a little bit about what all of these types of energy healing methodologies are in a little bit. And the reason why we asked her to be a guest on Talk, Listen, Share is that in May of 2019, she was diagnosed with cancer. And she was diagnosed with actually non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and a pretty fast-growing type of cancer. And the way that she got through all of her treatment was she also utilized all of the healing methodologies that she knows, especially the emotional code and body code systems. And she also utilized our own Rosemary Flaherty's aromatherapy treatments as part of her integrative cancer treatment practice. So without further ado, here is Rose.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for having me on your show tonight. I am very, very honored to discuss the emotion code, the body code healing systems. And as Sonia said, in 2019, I was shocked to kind of feel a little tumor here on my masseter muscle in my right cheek. And after a series of tests, the oncologist diagnosed the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was quite a large tumor. And so I opted for chemotherapy, and I did that for about 4 infusions. And I also integrated this work every day. And essentially, I actually worked with the emotion code. I'm just going to give you a little idea of what it entails. This is the book written by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and it's a mind mapping system for energy healing. And sometimes when we go through difficulty or painful experiences or loss, we experience emotions, and they get trapped in our body because they become too overwhelming for our body to handle. And so these emotions can be, maybe the size of our fist, and they get caught in the body, and they cause sometimes often a problem with a distorting effect on the energy field, and they can interrupt chemical reactions, the flow of energy in the meridians, as well as in the blood flow and lymph. And so essentially, this is a really straightforward, gentle, yet empowering practice to identify these trapped emotions, essentially where they are in the body. And then we can place magnetic energy into the acupuncture system of the body to release them. And some of the effects of emotions getting caught up in the energy field are physical discomfort. We can experience headache, knee pain, neck pain, shoulder discomfort, abdominal pain. And emotionally, we can feel all kinds of different, we can be upset, we can feel a little closed off, we can even feel anxious, depressed. We're not sure why or how, maybe fearful. And so this is just a beautiful, when I came across this material, as Shay said, in 2010, it was just, I thought, oh my gosh, this is gentle yet powerful. We utilize, in order to identify the emotions, we basically connect with a person's subconscious through muscle testing, which is a basic form of kinesiology. And it's like a cell phone to the subconscious, which is where our thoughts, our memories, our hopes, our dreams, all the things that have happened to us in our lives are actually lodged in the subconscious, about 95%, and the rest, 5%, is in our conscious mind. And so the muscle testing it's binary. It's a yes or no system. It's used in chiropractic care, in naturopathic medicine. It's used in nutritional counseling, because energy runs through the muscles, and things that might have an effect on the muscles are food, our emotions, and sometimes when things disagree with the muscles, they'll kind of just weaken for a second. So we can check in to see what's going on essentially in the body. So it's just a beautiful way to release these energies. And when I was diagnosed with the lymphoma, I thought, I'm going to integrate this work on a daily basis. And what I did is I took my journal and I asked the question, what is my body trying to tell me? And I just did a free flow consciousness writing from hand to paper, it was just, and the answer I remember was to bring in light. And so I asked my subconscious, connected with my subconscious, and I said, is there anything that I can identify and release, that my subconscious would like to identify and release, that might be blocking my light, that would bring more light into my body? And so I integrated that before, during, and even after the infusions of chemotherapy. I also used aromatherapy, Rosemary's aromatherapy. She guided me all the way through it, and as well as walking, and because cancer, it's difficult for cancer to I guess survive in an oxygenated environment. So I use this emotion code system to really bring a sense of pure energy back into my body. So it's a way to bring abundance into, and we go right down into the cellular level as well. So that's a quick summary of what I do.
That was amazing. I mean, especially coming from a fellow survivor. You know, you intuitively already knew what
Yes.
you needed to heal
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. And I was able to, as Rosemary knows, I was able to integrate, the chemotherapy infusion. So it's a beautiful way to embrace allopathic medicine with this beautiful energy healing system that I've grown to really love and appreciate.
Well, it was a really interesting experience to see the processes that you set up during this really difficult point in your life.
Yes.
And I've kind of held you up as an example of just an absolute dedication to staying well, to
Yes.
going through treatment, to changing lifestyles during, you weren't much of a walker before chemo, as I remember, and you became this astounding walker during chemo. To keep exercise is so important,
Yes.
to reducing fatigue, to keeping you healthy, and to just overall benefiting your body and your mind in a very special way. So what I think people might have some questions about are, if you're in, because I'll go back, because I used Rose when my husband was going through a cancer workup. It was a very stressful time, locked in the beginning of COVID. There was, everything was isolated and scary, and we were dealing with this. It turned out to be good news, so it's a happy ending. But during that time, it was incredibly stressful, incredibly difficult, and Rose said, "Can I please offer you some sessions?" And it was like, yes. And I'd done many sessions with Rose over the years, but never one that was as focused as that, or one that was coming from a period of absolute a desperation, a sadness, a worry, a concern. So all of those huge stresses that were just obviously blocking a lot of energy. And the way that I responded to the sessions, because during a session, there's guidance, there's the muscle testing. You communicate, but only as much as you want to communicate when you're a participant with Rose. There's a lot of intuition that's going on, and there's a lot of energy that's being unblocked, that's being worked, that's being utilized in a way that you're just not aware of, because we tend not to be aware of energies. But it was amazing, because at the end of them, I felt better. There was energy, there was a new focus. And then she said, "We can send this energy to Ian," and who's my husband. He's a tough nut. He's not somebody that would participate in this personally. But when I sent it to him, the next morning he came out and said something that was so profound. and it reflected on the energy that we sent him. So I had to text Rose immediately. It was like, we sent him the energy and he received it. So that was just an example of it did the power of prayer, the power that we have as far as being instruments of energy, we don't tend to explore. So that's one thing about Rose's teaching and her practices that are very eye-opening in providing us with a way to recognize our energies, to recognize other people's energies, and to relate at that level. Does that make sense? Did that?
Yes, and I remember, Rosie, when we worked together, shared trapped emotions came up, shared between you and Ion.
Right.
So a shared trapped emotion is essentially when two people are going through the same experience at the same time and are reacting emotionally at the same time. So what happened is we were focusing on just what was going on with Rosie and with Ion, and so these shared trapped emotions came up, and there were quite a few, and so I was connected with Rosie's subconscious, and yet when these shared trapped emotions came up, we were able to release them. Now we released a trapped emotion individually, one at a time, because each emotion has its own flow of energy. And so what we did is we released the shared trapped emotions one at a time, and they instantaneously released from both Rosie and Ion because they were a communal shared vibrational frequency between both of them. And so it was really incredible when Rosie told me, texted me when Ion came out the next day. You see, that was a beautiful, I guess, a result that, Rosie, you actually saw of the release work that we did. So he didn't even see often. People are uncomfortable, they might be uncomfortable with this work because it's new. And so they might have their husband or their wife work with me on their behalf. And they give me permission, of course, and I can even connect with them. That's another aspect of this work. It's kind of cool. Or even with someone who might be too ill to come to a session with me, either on Zoom or such, or FaceTime. So I remember, Rosie, that was really, and in fact, quite a bit of that first session with you involved Ion. So it was a win-win.
It was, and it was something that I think provided a level of calm during this really rocky storm.
Yes.
That I'm not sure I would have been able to capture on my own. So the guidance was very important. Now, Rose, so that we can kind of answer questions that the audience might have.
Yes.
How do you go about so you do individual sessions in person, you can do sessions online via Zoom.
Yes.
And you have been successful in groups lately with that. So do you would maybe kind of explain that process a little bit to people so that we kind of know what a session might be like?
Yes. So if for an individual session, I work with, just one person, and I connect with their subconscious. They fill out a questionnaire, and they let me know, give me an idea of what we should focus on during the session. And then we go from there. Now with a group session, I'm up I can either do all during COVID. A colleague and I, she did a sound bath. We did Instagram lives, and all during COVID, we offered energy healing sessions with my work and with her sound bath and we integrated some breath work. And it was really great. Often we would have over 120 people on the call. And so I essentially did the same thing. I connected with the subconscious of the group. And I did this in person at a group session, even on Monday night. We had about 50 people. So in person or remote, it works the same. I connect with the group, and I essentially ask, we already kind of established a focus. And so I just ask the subconscious of the group, is there any trapped emotion that we can identify right now to support, say, the release of a blockage that's going on, that's stopping you from manifesting a goal? And so these trapped emotions come up. I use the chart that's straight out of this emotion code book, and I just simply release them one by one. I pass my hand down the governing meridian, so essentially we place magnetic energy from down the acupuncture system in the body, and specifically the governing meridian, because the governing meridian is connected to all the other meridians in the body. And so this sudden influx of intentional energy neutralizes each emotion and renders the circuitry back into balance, which will relieve physical discomfort, pain, emotional discomfort. And when I had, so this is what we do in a group or in an individual session, or even in couples. I've even worked with, families. It's the interesting thing, when I was diagnosed, I essentially focused on the symptoms that I was feeling. And then as well, asking my subconscious, is there anything else that might be connected to, associated with, underlying the growth in my cheek? And I just systematically went through it. And each day I might have maybe released, given myself mini sessions, releasing 3 or 4 trapped emotions. And the same way I do it with clients or in the group, I would pass my hand from the brow chakra up over the governing meridian. It actually goes right down to the tailbone. But when I do it remotely or to myself, I just pass it down 3 times each to release one trapped emotion at a time, as I said, to the nape of the neck. And I hold this in your mind. It's really important to hold this intention to let it go, to actually release. For example, a trapped emotion on the chart would be anywhere anxiety, fear, sadness, heartache, anger, unworthiness, overwhelm. And so we just go through that methodically. It's really, it's very, very straightforward. Yeah. And we did that for you, Rosie.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
I think it's interesting because there's a lot of the person who's interacting with you also is required to be active as well. It's not a one-directed practice. You're involved in it, and you're identifying, because it's a great assistive device to identify what's truly going on, the way that you guide your practices. So, because sometimes we can't figure out what's wrong, and it's nice to have a guide, and then to have a practice that helps release what the identified emotion is, that's all bound up.
Yes, absolutely. I'm working with a client who actually is she just did her 4th infusion of chemotherapy yesterday for breast cancer. And I would give her sessions, before and after the infusion. Not very much, just to, and she just feels lighter. This is what and everyone's different, everyone's body reacts differently, but for the most part, people they feel lighter, they feel more at ease, and they do feel like something has been, been let go of from their body, and that their body can regain a sense of balance. Because after a session, the body takes time during the session and afterwards, up to a week, to process the energies that we have released. Yes. So it's very simple, yet very powerful.
At what point during your treatment did you know that you needed something more?
You mean in terms of chemotherapy?
Yeah. Well, obviously you were going through chemotherapy. And at what point did you decide, you know what, I'd like to integrate something else in this healing process?
Oh, I started that before. And I actually told the oncologist I was doing, energy healing. He was really intrigued. He was very interested in that. Mm-hmm. And of course, with Rosemary's aromatherapy, I told him everything that I was doing to integrate with the infusion. So I did it before when I got the diagnosis, and even before I asked my body what is underneath or associated with this mass in my master muscle, my chi. And I would ask questions in a different way, because each time I asked a different question, I would get a different answer. And that's when I often went into the body code. With the emotion codes layered on top of the body code goes into all the systems of the body. And, it's amazing what it can do just to see if, and even the meridian system, to see where there's an imbalance. And then, so if say, or even the chakras. So if there anything, an organ or a chakra or meridian was out of balance, I would even go under that and ask, what is the energy? Can we identify the energy under that? And so using, again, the emotion code, body code, all these different things would come, not only trapped emotions, but perhaps cords, unhealthy cords with a past memory, a person, maybe even emotional trauma would come up. We'll just release that. But we'd always go underneath and dig a little deeper. Even experiences that had upset us, we release that. It's at that time my brother was going through some heart, not a surgery, but he was going through some things, and that he came up in my session. So I released trapped emotions, not from him, but around that that had it was just too overwhelming for my body to release on its own. And that's essentially what this work is, to really see what's trapped within and to open that using the acupuncture meridian system. If you open that portal to release it. Yeah.
So Rose, you talked about the emotional code and then the body code.
Yes.
Is there a differentiation? If somebody comes, you say, in your mind, are you processing this person needs the emotional code release, or they need the body code release?
I use both. Great question, Rosemary. I use both. Whatever. That's why when I, years ago when I came across this beautiful work, I already knew how to muscle test. So that's why the work resonated with me. And so I wanted to become certified, which I did, in the emotion code and the body code. And T3, that's a belief system where we look at, maybe some limiting beliefs that we might have had. I'm not good enough. I'll never be, abundant, or, certain beliefs like that we might have grown up with. And so whatever comes up, this is the beauty of knowing each of the, section of this work. Whatever comes up for a client, I tap into any of those, and it's really nice to be able to do that. Whereas if you're only certified with the emotion code, you're not privy to have that access to the body code or the belief, accessing T3 or a belief code system. So it's nice to be able to integrate all of those. Yeah, depending on what comes up for someone. Mm-hmm. And the beauty too about this work, and I always say at the beginning of each session, and I think this is really important, that we only do, and I know it sounds like a little bit of a cliche, but we only do this work from the heart. We don't do it with any judgment whatsoever. And I'm saying that because when I say no judgment, even of the person, that person might think, oh my gosh, I have all these trapped emotions, then all we do is really set the beautiful, what's the word? Maybe a foundation at the beginning of the session, a nice relationship of acceptance of whatever comes up. We, each of us, just set the intention, to let it go. And then there's that sense of of self-love, and we embrace what's going on for each person. And it's beautiful, as Rosemary said, because we're accessing the subconscious. People don't actually have to talk too much. It can be very private, because the subconscious already knows what we've gone through. And so it's just as powerful to release an emotion or an imbalance in an organ or in one of the chakras without having to walk down memory lane. We can just simply release it because your subconscious already knows what you've gone through and what you are going through. So that's another. And I do believe that if the subconscious knows that it's not going to be judged, that we do this from the heart, it's going to be just way more open and more comfortable to do this release work.
So many of the principles and the guidances of this practice that you're relating sound like they overlap greatly with Shay's practice of yoga, because the acceptance and non-judgment, all of these practices that go with so many of the practices that we're finally recognizing as incredibly beneficial to our health and our well-being.
Yes.
So there seems to be a lot of overlap in bringing out these very, very meaningful and special emotions and practices. So
yes, and people are going through a lot, and for them to be open to an alternative way, integrating with perhaps allopathic procedures, especially with cancer treatment. I really, hats off to everyone who tries this work, because it's not known as widely, to many people, but I think it's gaining momentum. And even with yoga practice, that also increases energy. And I think if we can kind of integrate these systems to maintain that beautiful balance within our energy field, then it's more conducive to that, to healing and good health. If that makes sense.
It takes a lot of different practices. And that's what so much of the point of Shay's Warriors is to reveal and educate the many practices that we might not be familiar with.
Yeah.
And I know that the energy work is majority, there's a wonderful, wonderful revelation with yoga, and it's practiced frequently. And just about everybody knows something about yoga. Everybody knows something about diet. Whether they practice it or not, there's more of an awareness. But there are practices that people just really aren't that aware of, which is one reason it's really lovely that you're here, because energy work and the power of energy within our bodies and with what we release. I mean, that's really essentially what the power of prayer is it is an energy that is being sent from one person to another. The power of meditations, the power of well wishes and visualizing. So energy work is just yet another layer of wonderful practices that people might want to explore, particularly through cancer treatment, because there's so many layers of healing that are involved with cancer. And one thing that was interesting about you is it was like the minute of diagnosis, you started formulating your plan, and it was maintained. It was a plan. There was no wavering. It was straightforward. And once you made up your mind, this is it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You started your plan of care and your plan of practice, and it worked amazingly well. It was very effective. So.
I feel very fortunate. I feel very fortunate to have had this work on my doorstep, and also to have had the experience that I did in working with with clients who had cancer too. And so we never know exactly how this work. We know it's very positive. We don't make definitive claims that it's going to work this way or that. We just, as we did with you, Rosemary, and with Ion, we just released whatever came up, and then we kind of allow and see how we feel afterwards. It's the same almost with meditation or with yoga, or with walking. We know we have a sense of feeling better. We're just not sure how we're going to feel better. But I find this work to be incredibly powerful.
Well, we have a couple questions. Here's a YouTube question. How does the power of thought interact with energy for the healing process?
Oh my gosh. Well, this is the cool thing is, I do believe this is a way to release the emotional energy of those thoughts, and to allow a free flow of positive, because once we release these emotions and other imbalances, they're all lower level energetic resonances in the body. And so we allow more light, more love, more higher level energies into the body that really embrace healing, if that makes sense. But yes, and then of course, thoughts with our belief systems, we can look underneath those and say, is there something that's going on here that we can identify and release to maybe let go of that particular thought? Because often there are despairing thoughts that can kind of block us. And so we get to find out what's underneath those, release the underlying energies, and then release the thoughts. Mm-hmm.
I think that one thing that is related to this is that, and I've read it a number of times through journals and all the readings, is that 40% of healing is your belief. So no, 40% of the success of treatments is 40% of that is your belief. So we can give 6 people the same treatment, and everybody might have a little bit of different outcome, but the people that fully believe in this is going to heal me, this is have that positive energy towards this, will fare better than people that are like, I don't know why I'm doing this, I don't believe this, you know. So there is a great deal of power in opening up those energies of positive thoughts towards a treatment and towards your health. We spend a lot of time in America, particularly, putting down so many things about ourselves and about our being and about our productivity and about our health, rather than embracing the good and building on those. So belief systems have so much to do with healing. And this energy healing is something that can help break down some of those negative emotions and belief that can interfere with the power of the treatments to heal.
Absolutely. And in neuroscience, there's some fantastic work that's being done just to support exactly what you just said, Rosemary. It's our beliefs can help us heal, and once we know what they are, and once we let go, it's very powerful. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There are a couple more questions we have. We have Angela coming from Facebook. Generally, how long are the sessions?
Oh, great question. I didn't even mention that. They are about an hour, so about 55, 60 minutes for adults. For young children, half an hour. And I actually work on dogs and cats, and that's about a half an hour each. So, yeah. And then the T3, the belief code sessions, 90 minutes. Yes.
She also asked, Rose, you mentioned the muscle test multiple times.
Yes.
Can you please show or give an example of the muscle test you used?
Yes. For example, this is the hole-in-one. My name is Rose. So that holds strong. My name is Allison. So the muscles, as I said, their energy flows through the muscles, and it's an interesting process. The whole basic kinesiology is, if anything impacts our electrical system that does not maintain or enhance our body's balance, then our muscles will weaken just for a second. And as I said earlier, some of those things that might weaken our electrical system are emotions. And so we get, when this looks like I'm really, holding strong here, but it's just a way to, it holds strong. If something is affirming for our electrical system, am I feeling positive right now? Yes. So I can, when I'm connected to someone, it is like a cell phone, a connection, a cell phone to someone's subconscious, and it's really that simple. But yeah.
So there was another question.
Yeah, there is another question. So here's this one. So Nathan from YouTube asked, is there ever an energy that people can't release?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I can even ask that. It's amazing because, again, through muscle testing, I could even ask that. and I always make sure I have a good connection to the client's subconscious. And so we make sure, I even ask questions. Are you comfortable right now? Are you feeling at ease here? We might even send energy to their heart. And we turn our attention to their heart, and we send unconditional love and gratitude and hold space for their heart to feel safe. And so within that environment, we're pretty, it's, I think if I had an intuitive insight, especially connected to them, I could ask that question. Is there anything else that we haven't identified? Is there something here that's still blocking you? And so on. So we actually go right down to a deep cellular level in these questions. So I make sure, I've learned that over the years, to really think outside the box a little bit with my questions. Or is there anything hidden that we've missed? Is there something at a deep core level from maybe your teenage years that we could identify and release that might be being triggered today and affecting your health and healing today? Yes, no. And if it's yes, I ask, can we identify that? If it's no, I ask, really? Is there anything super hidden? If it's still get a no, then we go on. But that's a very interesting question. Yeah.
I think, Marissa, you might be muted right now. You have to unmute.
Yes. Let me take a look here. So Rose, one more question. When you do that muscle testing, do you just do it on the first session?
Oh.
Or how many sessions do you keep retesting when you're doing that muscle testing?
Oh, I do the muscle testing for each question for each session, because the issues are different. The concerns are different. And then we might even do a follow-up. I offer packages of 3. Sometimes people want to do, and they can have them, there's no every week or 3 weeks or a month. And so we might do kind of a follow-up, and I write notes during the session. I scan them and send them in a PDF to the clients, and I keep a file, so I know what we've done during the previous session. So it's a sequential. They can guide, the client can guide me as to what they would like to focus on, or if they're not sure, we simply ask. It's your subconscious, and ask through muscle testing. Yes, no. Does your subconscious have anything for us to clear for you today? And then, we get yes, then we go right into. If we get no, we never get no, actually. It's always yes, but. Yes.
Do you, just as a question, at the end of a session, do you do a summation with your clients?
Yes, great question, Rosemary. We go through, I always ask feedback. This is what I really enjoy too. I welcome questions, I welcome feedback during the session. I think it's really important because it's the client session, and and this means a lot. And so we share, and I make sure I invite them to feel comfortable. And most do. Others were just like they just close their eyes and bring in feeling like Zen. I remember Rosemary, I remember you had your eyes closed sometimes just when we were releasing, and we just kind of, it's almost a meditative state. So people are different. Some ask questions more than others. And yeah, so
at the end of the session, you do a summation and
then I do a guided meditation, and we just imagine, both the client and myself, we just imagine a beautiful diamond white light coming in through and around their heart or into the spaces we cleared. And we bring, with this light, we bring, now depending on what we have released, and depending on what they filled out on their questionnaire, their desired outcome for the session, the issues that they wanted to address, I kind of do, it's very, very individual. I bring those energies into the guided meditation to, for example, strength, inner peace, a sense of personal freedom, with ease, with calm. And then we just, it's beautiful. I really allow extra time to do that at the end. I think it really adds to that overall, again, that empowerment, you know? And I might even extend the healing energy all around their body, into their community, into their home, into their family, into their relationship. Especially if I work with, maybe couples. But even if I don't, we can extend that energy. I think, Rosemary, we extended it out to Ion, remember? Your husband, we extended that beautiful healing light all around you and to him. And so whatever was individually focused on, I bring that healing energy to bring, what's the word, summation to the session. Yeah.
And from experience, I have to say that was amazingly powerful at the end of a session to have the white light exercise, because it was so vivid and it was so white, and it felt so incredibly real and cleansing, and it's a really amazing way to end up these sessions.
It really is, and it wasn't actually in the book per se, the emotion code book, but I wanted to give, as your question intimates, I wanted to give that closure, I think, that sense of completion and personal empowerment at the end. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So speaking of kind of wrapping up our session tonight, we have probably about maybe 5 or 6 minutes to kind of wrap this up. And would you guide us in something like that?
Sure. Okay. I'd like to invite then everyone to gently close your eyes for a moment. And I would like you to maybe set an intention for this maybe 5-minute energy healing emotion code session. Set an intention, it can be a word or phrase. And I'm going to connect with the group. Do we have a good, strong connection with your listeners, with you guys? We have a good, strong connection, yes? Is there something that we can identify using the emotion code chart? Can we identify and release to embrace this intention? Any that could be blocking you even from manifesting your intention? Yep. Anxiety? Okay, so I'm going to right now pass my hand, pass magnetic energy down the governing meridian into the body's acupuncture system to clear this trapped emotion of anxiety as a collective energy from the group tonight. And did we? Yes. Is there something, another trapped emotion that could be blocking you from achieving this goal, or overwhelm? We are now setting the intention. So in your mind, I'd like each of you to set a very strong intention to release the trapped emotion of overwhelm. Too much, maybe stress, burden on your shoulders. You want to lift this overwhelm off your shoulders. And did we? Yeah. And you may take a deep breath in and breathe out. Indecisiveness comes up. We are now setting the intention. We are releasing the trapped emotion of indecisiveness as a communal trapped emotion from our group tonight. We're also releasing, what's coming up is creative insecurity, releasing the trapped emotion of feeling unsafe, not trusting the self to start something new in health, in relationship, with money, with a creative project. Your subconscious knows. So we are releasing, holding the intention to release as we pass magnetic energy down the governing meridian about 3 or 4 times, releasing this trapped emotion of creative insecurity. Okay. Is there something else we can? Yep. Fear is coming up. We are releasing the trapped emotion of fear. Releasing the trapped emotion of fear from our entire group tonight. And would like to take a moment to replace these energies with healing light, to bring love, unconditional love, into these spaces that we just cleared, to bring gratitude for you with ease and calm, to allow you a reset, a moment of personal freedom. See this beautiful light guiding you, protecting you, and bringing a newfound sense of confidence and optimism. Extend this light all around your body, up through, into, and around your heart. And maybe take a deep breath in and breathe out. And I'd like each of you to maybe have a glass of water after this call tonight, to rehydrate the cells and to deepen the healing from this mini session with the Emotion Code. And thanks so much for having me. Really, really value this time to share this work.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you for having me.
Rose, if people would like to get in contact with you later on, would you give us your website? Is it the Emotion Code, or is it blissenergy.com?
It's blissenergyhealing.com. And I'd like to offer 20% discount for a session or anything that is offered on my website. 20% discount. I can do that. You can email me, and I'll put a 20% discount on the. I think there is already, but I'll double check. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I hope I explained it clear enough. There's so many aspects to it, but I thank you for your questions. They were amazing, and for your the questions that were on the social media as well. They're beautiful questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we hope to have you back down the road. I know, like, I'm already like, when can we have you back? Oh my God. I'll be calling.
Yeah, you can let me know, and I could do a longer group session, and I'd be very happy to do that.
What is your email? One of our audience members are asking, and I'll put it in our chat.
It's Morro, MORRO, dot Rosemarie, ROSEMARIE, at gmail.com.
There you go, Ava. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Sonia, I believe we have some more Talk Less and Shares coming up. This is amazing. This will live on our website going forward, so you can be able to go back to the session and also find out more about Rose's amazing practice.
Yes, absolutely. And so for September, we are going to have a special guest live. Christina, part of one of our board members, is also one of her many hats that she wears, is that she does hairdressing and aesthetics. And so she's going to be demonstrating how to style a couple wigs and maybe do a live demo styling for a lucky cancer survivor. And so that is coming up in September in another month. So keep, and also for any future Talk Less and Shares, you can find us on shayswarriors.org in the events section, and the calendar section, and we will have our next Talk Less and Shares up there. And of course, on our Instagram and Facebook and everywhere that we're online with.
Awesome. And next Wednesday, we have a very special Survivors Meetup. It's going to be located at Jay's Deli in Palm Desert, Marker Broadcasting, Ozell Jewelers, and I do believe we have Live Well Clinic raffle prizes and Skin Lab raffle prizes as well. And all of the proceeds for that night goes to our annual retreat, sending 30 survivors at no charge to our annual retreat that is every June for National Cancer Survivors Month. So if you are located in the Palm Desert area, please join us next Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Jay's Deli. It is located right on Highway 111 next to Shogun, I believe it is, the Japanese place. You like how I just did that, Marissa?
Right.
That's the only thing I can think of. So you can see us there. And if you can't make it, you can always, if you love what we do, our board is 100% volunteers. And when we send survivors, it's 100% at no cost to them. So donations are always welcome. Thank you so much. Again, Rose, Rosemary, Marissa, and Sonia. Thank you to our audience members tonight for the amazing questions. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rose.